All right, I appreciate everybody for checking in. Motor City Sports Talk, we in the building. I'm going to talk about is Matthew Stafford truly better without Calvin Johnson? Let's get into it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Probably going to upload this one on Facebook as well. So people on Facebook, check us out on YouTube at Motor City Sports Talk. People on YouTube, check us out on Facebook at Motor City Sports Talk. I tend to do more work on Facebook coming on now, and maybe even a little bit more work on Twitter as well. So appreciate the love, support, man. Appreciate everybody for holding it down. But yeah, Stafford came into the league 2009. Calvin came in 2007. All right, Matthew Stafford. I don't have my setup. This pandemic and threw everything off. So when I have my setup, my computer and desk, I'm able to look up stats. So basically, I'm testing my memory now. But Matthew Stafford had his biggest seasons statistically with Calvin Johnson. Over 5,000 yards. I think every time he threw over 30 touchdowns, it was with Calvin Johnson. He came close a few times with Caldwell, I believe, at 29 a couple times. But his passer rating and completion percentage went up after Matthew Stafford left. Now, after Calvin left. Now, there is a reason for that. All right? People say, oh, what is the reason to make excuses for Calvin not, with Stafford being better without Calvin? It's because Jim Caldwell played the safety first with him. They limited him throwing the ball down the field. He came in and pretty much made Matthew Stafford a manager. A lot of times, the game manager, the yards went down, the completion percentage went up. You know what I'm saying? The efficiency went up, the passer rating went up. But there's two different regimes. All right, he had Caldwell for a minute, and also had Golden Tate. Golden Tate is the best, wingman Calvin had. And they played for a small percentage of time. Nate Burleson just never lived up to expectations personally for me. But, under Scott Linehan, they're more of a running gun type offense. There's more of an offense that was going to throw it down the field. Really didn't have much success running the ball a lot of the times. So they was more of, we get behind, we start throwing it downfield. Under Caldwell and Lombardi, it was more efficiency. It was, higher percentage, shorter throws, and, we get behind, then we let you chuck it down the field. But to be honest, you don't get better without a Calvin Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I just think the Lions failed to get the most out of Herman, Berry, Robert Porcher, Luther. I mean, you can just go on and on and on. They failed to get the best out of those dudes, and that's just what we need to talk about. They failed to give Matthew Stafford a running game paired with Calvin Johnson. They probably would have got better. They probably would have got more out of Nate Burleson. They were just conscious on just being a running gun or a fake run and shoot type of, offense from the 90s. The 90s Lions, they was able to get it on the ground, and with Perriman, Morton in the slot. We just talked about him on our Forgotten Lions videos. Check out the Forgotten Lion playlist for more videos like that. I got one coming maybe later tonight or tomorrow. And then they had Herman Moore, but they was able to run the ball with Berry, and they was able to put up, historic type numbers, on the passing game and on the ground. The Lions tried to replicate that with the dude from Mike Martz, I think, from the Rams. Then, Calvin came, then they switched over from Martz to Schwartz era, and they just never was able to consistently get that ball running. But when they ran the ball with Calvin, Bush, Joyke Bell, Matthew Stafford, that's when Stafford had over 5,000 yards passing and over 40 touchdowns, 41 touchdowns that year. His interceptions have went down since Calvin has left. You know what I'm saying? But, other than that, I felt that you can make a case he was more efficient without Calvin. But you also can make a case that he had a better he had better offense without Calvin. I know Lombardi really wasn't the guy, or Jim Bob Cooter without Calvin. But he just was more efficient because they pulled the reins in with him. Scott Linehan was able to let him chuck it down the field, and they was doing a lot of spread out stuff. So I do think the leadership stepped up once Ndamukong and Calvin left. I do think I just think the offense was a lot different. I think he had his more, they made the playoffs twice. He had his better years statistically with Calvin. You know what I'm saying? Out Calvin, he had better efficiency, better passer rating, better, accuracy with, completion percentage, but he made the playoff once. So since Calvin left, he been here 16, 17, 18, 19, and 19. He was on this, it feel like he was on the way to a career year in 2019. But he got injured, so we can't say woulda, shoulda, coulda, this would have happened. So 4 years without Calvin so far, I think he's held his own. The narrative was Calvin made Matthew Stafford. He made one playoff appearance without Calvin. They made two with Calvin. Didn't win none of the three. But he's shown people that he's able not just to survive, but able to put up solid numbers without a Calvin Johnson. So you can make a case that, when they got Marvin Jones and Golden Tate, and they was able to spread it out, that, he has been more efficient. He's becoming a better leader. You know what I'm saying? They have made the playoffs. They still haven't got a victory. Last year, it seemed in his 11th year, he was on track to be in the MVP race, but obviously Matt Patricia's defense and the special teams people don't talk about didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So, to be honest, I think Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback without Calvin Johnson. It's not because of Calvin Johnson. It's just the fact of the regime around him with Bevel. I think you could look forward to another big year if he's healthy. You know what I'm saying? But efficiently, he's just been a better quarterback. Accuracy, he's been a better quarterback. His deep ball done got better. He learned to change the speeds off the ball. He learned how to loft the ball a lot better. And he's carrying the team a lot more. Ever since Calvin left, you got to remember, and Ndamukong Suh left too. People forget that. So you take two of the best superstars in the last 10 years off the squad, and Stafford has still been putting up solid numbers. A lot of these dudes, you take Julio away from Matt Ryan, what you got? You can just keep going on. It's a lot of receivers. Andy Dalton without A.J. Green, they was making the playoffs with A.J. Green. Without A.J. Green, he got fired. He got cut expeditiously, quick, fast. And Stafford has shown that, I could take Marvin Jones and Golden Tate and do some things. So, and also you can make a case that the offense is more complete, in most of the Calvin Johnson years, because Nate Burleson just wasn't that good to me in the slot. He just didn't live up to expectations. You know what I'm saying? With, the Lions, you look at, you got Marvin, you got Golden Tate, you know what I'm saying? Now you got Amendola, you got Hawkinson. So you got some other pass catchers out there that could be efficient, to help him be efficient. But to look at it in all, I just felt that the Lions failed every superstar they had. They failed Barry, Herman, Luther, Porsche. They failed those guys, Brett Perriman, Barry, by not getting a good quarterback and not getting a little bit better defense. They failed Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson by not putting a complete team around them. One year they had a good defense, good special teams, but they couldn't run the ball. Running the ball has been the Achilles heel no matter who comes with the Lions organization. Who comes in, it just seems like they put emphasis more on the passing game, or they put emphasis more on the defense, and they just don't say, like, what our problem is, we can't open up holes, we can't protect Stafford, effectively on a regular basis, and we can't run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. And one of the dudes I'm going to do a Forgotten Lions on, I'll just give you a hint if you watch long enough, is Ernie Sims. Ernie Sims is 35 years old. Calvin is 34, 35 years old. So that's mind-blowing that they almost the same age, and both of them had to retire prematurely. Obviously, Ernie Sims, if you remember, he had a reputation coming out of Florida State for knocking himself out of games because he was a big hitter. But yeah, I say Matthew Stafford has matured into a better quarterback since Calvin left. I'm not saying Calvin was hurting him or all his focus is on Calvin. You don't get better when you lose a Calvin Johnson. I just think Matthew Stafford had a better support staff. I think the maturity, I think it clicked for him. I think he became a better leader once Ndamukong and Calvin and all them left. So I think it's a cumulative of things that made him a better quarterback since he left. So I just don't think, remove Calvin, he got better. Some other things had to happen. Marvin came in. Golden Tate came in. They played well off each other. You know what I'm saying? Jim Caldwell and Joe Lombardi, they kind of took the ball out of his hands and they went more towards high percentage throws instead of going down the field and run and try to be a running gun or run and shoot like Scott Linehan. You know what I'm saying? Also, he had better defenses a little bit with Terrell Austin. You know, so I just don't think the Lions have ever completed a team around a lot of their stars. You know what I'm saying? You put Stafford in the 90s with Pyramid, Herman Moore, Barry Sanders, Lomas Brown, and those dudes, they probably make it to the Super Bowl. So the Lions have just never been able to complete the circle of life. You know what I'm saying, in my Lion King voice. So, let me know what you guys think. Is Stafford better? Has he seemed to be better without Calvin? Or would you think he was better with Calvin? So I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you got business, question, inquiry, sponsorship, video requests. Keep sharing the videos. Want to make a donation to the channel? Cash App, PayPal, description. Best way to donate is share the video. One time for the one time we gone.